Hey guys, welcome to part 5 of our series of videos on the restoration industry. These are sort of an introduction for newer people. If you're planning to start a restoration company, you're considering getting into it, taking that dive, whether you are an experienced mitigation professional who's been in the industry for a while, or you're just learning about it now, we're happy to help. So today we are going to be talking about the equipment that you need to start your company. So it comes time to buy some stuff. What do you need to buy? How much money do you need to have? Well, we'll tell you. So the first thing that you are going to need when you are buying equipment and tools and supplies for your restoration company, you are going to need a vehicle. You need some kind of a van or a box truck or a pickup truck with a pull-behind trailer. And which one is right for you is going to vary a little bit based on your company and what you do. Are you going to focus on primarily reconstruction, primarily water restoration? Are you in a warm environment? Are you in a city environment? Where you live? That stuff is all going to be a factor. I recommend, if you're trying to figure out what is best, just a van is best to start, in my opinion, especially a high-top van. Unless you are a little fella, believe me, that high-top van makes such a difference. Not cracking your head every time you have to step into the van is it's a real game changer. So a high-top van, ideally an extended van, a long one, like a Ford Transit, Mercedes Sprinter, Dodge ProMaster, one of those types of vans. Are all great. A small box truck can also do the trick, like a 11, 12-foot box truck, a smaller one. I wouldn't start off with a massive box truck because they're a little unwieldy and hard to get into people's driveways sometimes. But a van is nice. You can park it in a regular parking spot. It's very versatile. You can do the pickup truck route. If you live somewhere cold, though, it's not going to work in the wintertime because, unless it's covered, and even if it is, it's still kind of hard to get all the equipment in and out. It's going to be a pain. You're just going to find out really quickly it's a pain. If you're just doing a short term, you're just starting out, cool, do what you got to do. But a van is probably where it's at. If you have a pickup and you have a trailer that you pull behind, there are people who do that, almost use the trailer like a little mobile shop. It can work. It's just can be a little bit of a pain sometimes getting that trailer in and out, pulling it in and out, backing it into people's driveways and getting it into weird, awkward spots that you could just drive into pretty easily if you had a van. So go for the van. Anyways, it's a big expenditure at the beginning, so choose wisely. But I think a high-top extended van is best. So you got your van. What do you need now? Next up, you are going to need restoration equipment. The first thing you're probably going to need is some kind of extractor, something to suck up the water. There are a lot of different models available. There are some that are designed specifically to remove large volumes of water, and there are some that are more designed for carpet cleaning, where it can suck up water, but it can also clean and spit out hot, steamy, clean water. And then there are the big truck-mounted extractors as well, and you got to kind of decide which one is best. I would recommend, if you have the money and you have the opportunity, a truck mount is great, but you're brand new and you don't want to get too into debt at the beginning, so a portable extractor is probably going to be a better bet if you're brand new, unless some great opportunity to buy a truck mount falls in your lap. Truck mounts are great. They'll help you get the job done faster and easier, but they're more expensive by a lot. So a portable extractor is great. I would recommend, when you're starting out, get a portable extractor that also cleans, so you can clean carpet as well. Side hustle. But it also, on certain restoration jobs, there'll be times where you're just going to need to clean some carpet, and it's nice to have a machine that does both. I would recommend look for one that has the feature auto pump out. Auto pump out just means that, once the thing fills with, the extractor fills with the 12 gallons of water or whatever that it holds, it can pump through a hose to the outside to get that water out of the machine. Otherwise, you have to drain it into a bucket and then dump it. And it's a little unwieldy. So auto pump out on a portable extractor. So you got your van, you got your extractor. Next up, you're going to need dehumidifiers. I recommend for most new people, 3 dehus is the way to go. 3 dehumidifiers. I say get one that's a bigger unit, like a Phoenix DryMax XL, or a DryMax XL Pro, or a Dri-Ease LGR 3000 or 7000 rather. Sorry, LGR 7000. A big, like 130 pints per day, in like something that can remove that much water. About 130 pints per day. That's how they're typically rated, by how many pints per day of water they remove. So you want at least one that removes 130 pints per day. That's a big one. And then if you can afford 2 more like that, go all out, my friend. If you can't, well, I would say get a smaller LGR dehumidifier that removes about 85 pints per day. A great model is the Phoenix DryMax BLE. They are smaller units. They're really easy to move, and they're pretty reliable. They're like some of the best in the industry, in my opinion. And why don't you just buy 3 big ones? Why buy 1 big one and 2 small ones? Because you save money by having 2 of the smaller ones. So I would recommend doing it that way. You're also going to need some air movers. We don't call them fans in restoration. We call them air movers because we're professionals, darn it. And when it comes to air movers, I would say start off with about 25 air movers, which seems like a lot, but trust me, there is a sort of standard number that you're going to put on jobs based on the size of the space you're putting it in. So you want to get enough that you're hitting that standard. The IICRC, which sort of writes the standard for how to do water mitigation, they have like a standard number. So you want to, it's more than you think. Almost every job is going to require more air movers than you think. So get those, and you're probably going to, you're getting paid per air mover. So like having more is better. You're going to make more money the more you have. My personal favorite right now is the Phoenix Focus 2. They're smaller air movers. They're really easy to move and carry. They don't take a lot of electricity. They're not super expensive. They're like real nice. Next up, you're going to need a HEPA air scrubber, or AFD, sometimes they're called, air filtration device. You need something that can filter crud out of the air for when you're doing demolition and you're kicking up dust, or when you're cleaning up sewage and there's gross stuff floating around in the air, or you're doing mold remediation, you want to get the mold spores out of the air. You need some kind of air scrubber. So I would recommend starting off a HEPA air scrubber of around 500 CFM. That's cubic feet per minute. That's, how many cubic feet, the volume of air that it filters per minute. That's, I'd say probably one of those is good to start off. There are a lot of different models available. There are big ones, small ones, but about 500 CFM is probably a good range for one starting out. You're going to buy another one later, don't get me wrong, but start off with one. And that's the main stuff. That's what you need. You're also going to have some kind of a moisture meter, because how are you going to know what's wet and what's dry? You can't just touch the drywall and know the moisture content of it. So you're going to need a moisture meter, ideally a moisture meter with a built-in thermal hygrometer. That's going to tell you like the temperature and humidity levels in the room. That's how you know if your equipment's working. If the air in the room is getting drier, the humidifier is probably doing its job. So you're going to have to take a lot of readings. There's a lot of documentation required. So your moisture meter is going to be extremely important. It is a tool that you will use on literally every job. So you're going to need a good moisture meter, ideally one. I like the all-in-ones where it's like a moisture meter and a thermal hygrometer. My personal moisture meter is a FLIR MR277, which is an all-in-one moisture meter with a thermal hygrometer and built-in infrared, which is really handy for helping to spot where you see what parts of the wall are cold, which typically indicates that there's water in it. So kind of can guide you to where you need to place your moisture meter to find out what's wet and what's dry. So you'll need a moisture meter. In addition to that, you're going to need a ladder, like a little step ladder. I like the little giant, like the little collapsing ones, just because they don't take up a lot of space in the van. You're probably going to want a garbage can, a big 55-gallon bucket. Sometimes there's no place to drain your dehumidifiers into in that bucket. Not only will it store stuff in your van, not only can you use it when you're doing demolition to haul crud out, but you'll just use it sometimes to drain water into on job sites. And other than that, you're going to need some hand tools, just a standard kit of hand tools, your hammers, your screwdrivers, pliers, etc. You're going to need some power tools. You probably want a Sawzall, an oscillating multi-tool, a couple of drills. And that's the main stuff you need to get started. There are a lot of consumables you're going to need along the way, as far as things like plastic sheeting, garbage bags, antimicrobial. But when it comes to The big purchases, a van, ideally one with a high top extended because it's going to hold more stuff. You are going to need about 3 dehumidifiers, ideally a big one and 2 smaller ones. You're going to need about 25 air movers. You're going to need an air scrubber. You're going to need a good moisture meter with a thermal hygrometer. Spend the extra money and get the one with the infrared too. It's nice. You are going to need hand tools, power tools, and you are going to need a ladder and a garbage can. That's the main stuff. Everything else is just consumables. So when you're trying to plan at the beginning, that's the stuff that you should be starting with. Can you start with more than that? Yeah, absolutely. But you don't want to spend a bunch of money early on stuff you don't need. Not until you got more money coming in the door, right? It's good to have this stuff. This is the minimum stuff that will get you started on pretty much any residential water loss. It's enough to get you started on just about any job. If you get a bigger job, ideally, you set this stuff up. It gets you going until you have time to go out and rent the additional equipment you need or go out and buy the additional equipment that you need. But for most jobs, most smaller residential jobs, or even mid-sized residential jobs, this is going to get you through it. So that is the starting package that I would recommend. As far as brands, I'm partial to Phoenix. It's just personal preference, but there are a lot of other great brands out there. Phoenix is probably one of the biggest names. Another big name in the drying business is Dri-Ease. They're another good brand. But there are other, less expensive brands that are very good as well, like X-Power, ASD. These are all really common brands. You'll see a lot of this stuff out there floating around. Now, please don't think that I'm telling you this just because I sell equipment for a living. But I would encourage you to buy new where you can. And I say this because if your equipment breaks down because you bought it off of a crackhead for $200, you're going to have a bad time because you're not going to be able to complete the job. It's embarrassing. It's unprofessional. And what you really want when you're running a business day to day is reliability. So having newer equipment that ideally is going to be functioning for a long time is going to be very good. Having a warranty is going to be really helpful because you're not going to generate extra cost if something breaks down. And, if you can finance it, cool. It's better to, if you finance, you're going to pay a little bit more in the long run. But sometimes it's better to pay a little bit more in the long run to actually get to the long run. Because, if you spend a huge chunk of money up front to buy used equipment and you have to buy it cash, it's cool. You don't owe anybody anything, but now you spent all your cash and now you don't have money left in the bank to do things like, paid Facebook ads and stuff like that, the paid marketing that's going to help to make the phone ring so that you get jobs and to help do things like, leave money in your pocket to, put gas in your van so you can get to the jobs. So important stuff. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Next up, we are going to be doing a video on what you're going to need early on as far as the consumables, the stuff that you're going to be using and burning through on your jobs. So that's it for now. If you're already in the restoration industry, I hope business is going well for you. And if you're new to the industry, check out our website, www.cleanprosupply.com. We've got everything you need to run a restoration company. We've got vans. We've got dehumidifiers, air movers. We've got consumables. We've got parts. We do service at any of our 4 locations, and we finance. So check us out. All right, guys, take care.